You're watching a special edition of the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. The County Council has adopted a $4.6 billion budget that restores funding to county services that have endured deep cuts during this Great Recession. Council members approved the package, which is up more than 5.5% from last year's budget, with guarded optimism.
This is a budget that tried to balance that sense of we're beginning to emerge from the worst of a recession, but with the lingering effects of that recession. So we didn't want to go overboard. We wanted to make some restorations, but we didn't want to be reckless.
Our constituents have understood that we are not yet in a position of expanding or creating new programs. But we were able to look at the proposal that the executive sent us, and which was, I think, a very balanced approach. And then we were able to modify that some with some of our own priorities.
The budget includes just over $27 million from the shift in teacher pension costs from the state to the county. However, in a budget year that has once again been complicated by a sluggish economy, the council was able to protect core services and safety net programs.
My top priority is the Montgomery Cares network of community clinics that serve people without health insurance. And in the current fiscal year, about 30,000 uninsured patients will get to see a doctor because of this program. And in the next fiscal year, we expect that number to increase by about 4,500, but the budget that the county executive sent over would not have accounted for that growth in patient visits, and so the council added funds which will enable us to make sure that nobody gets turned away when they need to see a doctor.
One of the things I'm most proud of is getting more money put back into the budget for child care subsidies. There's a very large waiting list for families that really need this subsidy to be able to provide quality child care for their little ones, and we were able to put $500,000 back in, and then Ike Leggett also put another $300,000 back in. That takes care of the entire waiting list, we think. So we're very happy about that.
Well, I think we're able to stop the hemorrhaging. I mean, we've gone through a few years now where the discussion was what can we save, and lamenting the things we're cutting, and this was the first time we were actually able to make some decisions to restore services.
In the area of public safety, the council funded 58 new positions in the police department through increased staffing and the consolidation of 911 call takers.
I think among the most significant things we did was in the public safety arena, and so I serve on the Public Safety Committee, and the county executive had proposed a significant enhancement, particularly for our police, and I'm pleased that we embrace that, so that we will have literally 58 more boots on the ground in our communities. And so that's, I think, in terms of a fundamental obligation to our community to provide for public safety, and we do have a safe community. I'm pleased that we were able to make that investment.
I think adding police officers was a very important part of the budget. It will help us further reduce crime. We're doing well, but there are some areas of the county that need more attention, so that's important.
You know, we've had this constant kind of drumbeat of, crime is down generally, but there are areas where crime is actually up. We need the tools to be able to deal with it. Our current staffing wouldn't allow it. It was the situation in Silver Spring where, resources had to come from someplace else to solve a problem, and we needed to get beyond, pulling resources from one community in order to solve a problem someplace else.
The council fully funded the school's budget request for this fiscal year and also met its maintenance of effort obligation. Council members say much of the hard work that was done during last year's budget deliberations made this year's budget process a smooth one.
We reduced many of the long-term spending commitments significantly last year, and we brought the budget down to a level where it could begin to grow again at a more sustainable pace. And so this year we see the fruits of those tough decisions bearing out.
We made the tough call last year to rebase the school system's budget, which freed up money for libraries, rec centers, police, and fire. And I think that we all feel very satisfied that taking those tough calls last year put us in a much better position this year.
Being able to fund the maintenance of effort budget, which is what everybody would like to be able to do. We were actually able to do it, and we didn't have to stress or cut other things in order to make that possible.
To provide relief to both residents and businesses, the council rolled back the energy tax by 10%. The budget also maintains the property tax limit at the current level, which includes a $692 credit for owner-occupants of principal residences.
We did great things when it came to the energy tax. You know, while we couldn't afford, unfortunately, by the state shifting teacher pensions, taking away the entire energy tax, what we did do is reduce it by 10%. And we also reinstated the energy assistance program for some of our lower income residents. And so, I mean, there's just been a lot that's been done.
You know, one of the steps we took this year that I thought was wise was we reduced the energy tax a bit, you know, not as much as we would have liked perhaps, but a 10% reduction in the energy tax. We did not increase property taxes to the charter limit. So I think I personally am very mindful that our residents are, you know, not, you know, the bubble mentality has ended and people are stretched, and we're recognizing that, and I think it's an important part of this budget.
It was important for the council to make a start in reducing the energy tax, which 2 years ago was approved to a very high level. I did not vote for the energy tax 2 years ago, and I'm glad to see the council has taken a first step to reducing what was a very large increase.
And for the first time in 3 years, the public libraries will see an increase in their budget, $2.9 million to be exact. The council went above the executive's recommended budget for libraries by $200,000 to increase purchases of library materials.
We restored funding for libraries that had had tremendous cuts, and as the lead for libraries, I was very happy to not only see us go with the county executive's recommendations, but also restore some additional materials funding for libraries.
County employees will also benefit from this budget. Most will receive a $2,000 lump sum payment that will not increase the employee's base salary. The budget also includes funds to reinstate longevity raises for eligible longtime county employees and reinstates limited tuition assistance to all county employees.
They're not getting a permanent raise in their salary base. They're just getting a one-time bonus payment of $2,000. This will be the first raise that any of them have had since 2008, but it isn't permanently in the base. So there's still so much uncertainty that where we're easing up on some spending, or easing up in the case of the energy tax on collecting revenue, we're doing it cautiously and 1 year at a time because we don't really know what the future looks like yet.
County employees did receive a small lump sum payout, and hopefully next year it will continue to get better.
The council also made economic development a priority in this budget. By funding the Montgomery Business Development Corporation, the council hopes to jumpstart job creation.
For the first time ever, we're going to have sort of a real private initiative going out there to support job creation and retention in Montgomery County. And I think that's really going to help in expanding the overall tax base, because when push comes to shove, it's the number of businesses and the number of people we have here to shoulder the tax burden that allow us to make these tough decisions about funding and the like.
The youth in Montgomery County will also get a piece of the pie. The Families and Youth Initiative received funding this year, and the successful East County Teen Escape Club will expand to 4 more sites countywide.
I had met with the executive prior to his submission of the budget to talk about making a down payment for families and youth, and he did push forward a initiative that I had discussed with him, a family and youth enhancement initiative, and it's going to include some really important programs for our youth, including a summer employment program, including an expansion of the teen cafes to other parts of the county, which is really, really critical, and also a street outreach network, which are a group of amazing employees in HHS that are out there working with our at-risk youth, making sure that they make positive choices instead of negative ones, and they have been proven, their outcomes are just incredible. So we expanded that program because it's just so needed, and to me that was very gratifying.
In the Capital Improvements Program, the council restored funding to the Bethesda South Metro entrance to reiterate its commitment to the Purple Line, and included funds for the Capitol Crescent Trail.
The funding for the new elevator in Bethesda at the metro station continues to be in the budget, as the trail, the Capitol Crescent Trail along the Purple Line, if that comes to fruition, at least our commitment to that is recognized in this budget. I'm very pleased I got that in.
And even more good news. This year's budget increases the county's reserve levels to $302 million to protect against any future economic setbacks. It also more than doubles the pre-funding of retiree health benefits. Council President Berliner says these efforts will keep the county on a sound fiscal path.
So I think this found the sweet spot, if you will, of moving us forward, but not in a manner that we think is imprudent.
I know that Montgomery County is an economic engine, but Montgomery County, just like many other counties throughout the country, also has pressures and it has needs. And so we can't continue to just believe that we can raise taxes and raise taxes. Guess what? We're pretty much maxed out in that arena. So we're going to have to continue to be very mindful, fiscally prudent decisions have to be made, and I think we have shown, this council has shown that it took this very seriously. Even in an election year, we made very difficult decisions, not politically expedient decisions, but very difficult decisions that I think has put us into a very, I believe, stable fiscal future.
Council members agree the decisions made in this year's budget show commitment to ensuring a strong economic future. Even with the state shifting some of its obligations to local governments, the council kept its commitment to invest in its children, the community, and the future. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.